What's up everybody, Michael Silva here to do some technical analysis on the S&P 500. We're going to look at the weekly time frame, the daily time frame, and the 30-minute time frame. Going to map out support, resistance, kind of get a good sense of direction as to where this market might be headed next. Let's get into it. All right, welcome back. We are here on the weekly time frame. Couple things that I want to point out. Hey, let's look right over here. Little guy's peeking its head out above a massive area of resistance, this trend line that we obviously see some very clear data points that we talked about in previous videos that the price struggled to get below and then struggled to get above. We have the price peeking itself out. Now this is the weekly time frame and it is just Tuesday, so we have some more time to go. If we get a weekly close above this, that would feed the narrative that we're going to be going to test the market high. As far as the overall context of the chart, if you look at the MACD is showing very strong, nice spread between the two lines, headed upwards, very bullish. Same thing goes with the 50 period moving average and the 200 period moving average, both sloping up nicely and have a healthy spread between the two. So overall weekly time frame, bullish context. That doesn't necessarily mean that it can be overextended and we couldn't see a pullback, but remember, context is king when you're trading. So if we do get a pullback in bullish context, that would feed to the narrative of being able to buy the dip and then sell the rip. Let's go ahead and go to the daily time frame. All right, so we are here on the daily time frame, and in yesterday's video we discussed the things that were bearish and the things that were bullish. And overall, the things on the chart do look more bullish than bearish, would feed more to the narrative of buy the dip, sell the rip. Or in other words, you can say it is buy the fear, sell the greed. If you're unfamiliar what these rectangles are, this red one is what we've been calling the bear's camp. That is a zone of resistance. And then the one below that is the bull's camp, an area of support. Now this area of support will probably be moving up here in the near future, as I mentioned in previous videos, because the price action has not tested it since June 30th. Now if we go ahead and zoom on the current price action, what you can see is that the bulls have made it over halfway through the bear's camp. The current support on this daily time frame that I need everyone to keep a close eye on, just in case if we see a pullback, is going to be 3,200. 3,200 seems to be a good floor for a pullback. So if we do end up getting one, keep an eye out on that area because it previously had many touch points, as you can see throughout here, and then also over here. So there's going to be a lot of support within that area if the price action pulls down. As you can see, the 50 period moving average is just sloping up and up and up. And then the 200 is nicely sloping up as well. Typically, when we get things that are really overextended, you can get a pullback. Now, these moving averages act as areas of support. So when you see, or if we see a very dramatic pullback type of day, that would be a good indication to potentially buy the dip. Now, you can wait for confirmation that that change in price is going to be reversing, or you can do it kind of how I do it, where I play good risk versus reward trades, where if I had the price action coming down at 3,200, I'd enter in right around here and have a tight stop loss. If I got stopped out, then I'd be looking at the 50 period moving average, and if I got stopped out on a tight stop loss there, then I'd be looking at the 200 period moving average. That's how I personally would be buying the dip and selling the rip. But more on today's price action. As you can see, we got above the trend line and closed above it on the daily. Let's get a couple closes above it to know that, hey, this might mean that we're gonna go test that window up here at 33.40 or 33.30. As you can see in the history of the chart, let me move this down just a tad bit. My chart settings got all messed up here the last couple of days. So it was 32.30 is I think what we called it. It looks like the market wants to come test that, and if we get a close above that, there really is no reason whatsoever as to why we can't go touch the market high. Now always keep in mind, stocks take the stairs up and the elevator down. So we might wake up to a day where we just see a dramatic pullback. As you can see in this day right here, that was a very, very scary pullback. But notice where it pulled back to. It pulled back to 3,000 and then we saw that bounce. So keep that in mind when it comes to trading, where if we see scary bounces, that's what I'm talking about having a tight stop loss around main areas of support. That's how you play a pullback. One of the bearish things still on the chart that I brought up yesterday is this negative divergence in the MACD. The MACD does look like it wants to start crossing over and spreading to the upside a little bit, but as you can see, really it's just been kind of trading sideways here while the price of the stock has been going upwards. So it's very possible to see some sort of correction in the near future, but as of this particular point in time, the stock market wants to move higher and the market's never wrong. Despite all the crazy things that the Federal Reserve is doing and everything that's going on in our economy, the stock market is making the decision to move higher. Let's go ahead and hop into the 30-minute time frame. All right, we are here on the 30-minute time frame. This blue vertical line going down the screen right there is where the day began. And yesterday we mapped out some support and resistance levels. Those levels are right here on the chart. As you see, we had this purple line going through. That was going to be our area of resistance. I just didn't want to clutter up the chart and bring another line in there. So we just said keep an eye on that. That acts as an area of resistance today. And as far as support goes, we had it right down here, which was the gap window from the previous couple days of trading. So what took place today on the 4th? Well, in short, not much actually took place today. We had a little bit of a gap down and the price came all the way down to just about this level of support, probably within, just a couple of dollars. And then we came back up, ran into that trend line that we mapped out as resistance yesterday. Price came back down, pulled back down to that area of support. And in the last 30 minutes of the trading day, we really saw that spike up. Now, I was watching this previous to this quick little run up here on the last hour. So anybody that caught this nice little hammer candle on this pullback probably caught a nice little trade to the upside. It cleared this resistance level. If I were to clear this purple line from the chart and give you a red line, as you can see, just like that, this level of 3,300 or 3,302 was the area of resistance really that we were keeping a close eye on. There was obviously a resistance point here. We had 3 different candles there, so an hour and a half it tried to break through. And then this candle right here really did break through it. So what does it look like for tomorrow? Well, the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to bring this bottom support line back up to here now. I'm going to do that because that is kind of out of the distance as of right now, and we have the 50 period moving average sloping up. So yes, these two areas are still an area of support, but for right now, we're going to just keep an eye on what's currently taking place in the market. And as you can see, what's going on currently is this was a big area of resistance that we talked about, and then the last 30 minutes closed above it. So what did we say if the price went above it? Well, we said the next target really should be that 33.30 to close the window on when the market fell in February. With this nice momentum to the upside, this looks like it's going to be testing that level probably by tomorrow or the next day. However, there's a couple things that we need to consider to see it actually go up that high. First off, we want to make sure that the market opens up tomorrow above this 33.03. If it does, then it's going to keep this area as a level of support. I'm pretty confident here on the 30-minute time frame that with this many resistance points, this is going to become a solid area of support, that 33.03, if the price can stay above it tomorrow. If we get a pull below that, keep that in mind, that 32.84, or maybe just a little bit higher that we mentioned yesterday, 32.85, 86 is going to be the level of support. When the price action stays this far above, notice the 50 period sloping higher and higher. So if the 50 period slopes into this area before the price action pulls back, that's going to add more support to this area, and we might not get that window closed right away. If ever, really, in this market. There's been gaps on the way up throughout this entire market that haven't actually been filled quite yet. The overall context of this chart is bullish, right? We had this last hour and a half of this trading day over here on July 31st. Then we had some sideways consolidation, and in the last 30 minutes, we had this breakout. So overall, looking at the chart, it looks like the price wants to go higher. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm just going to be entering into this right away. I'm more of the buy the dip, sell the rip type of trader. So if I do get some sort of pullback or some sort of confirmation like one of these type of candles on a pullback, then I would enter in when it breaks above it. So for example, if you were watching this 30-minute time frame and you saw this candle form and you were like, oh yeah, I remember him saying that on a pullback to support, if it forms this type of candle, this is somewhat of a reversal candle. And why is that? Well, the price opened up here, pulled all the way back to a main level of support, and then the bulls pushed the price above where it opened and a little bit higher. And then as you can see, if you were to enter in right above that, you had some continuation to the upside. And these type of candles work in reverse. Maybe if we open up right here tomorrow and just another sideways day, we might get a reversal candle that has a long upper wick like that, and then a red body like this. So that might be an indication that, hey, we might see the pullback then take place. So there's 101 different scenarios as where the price action might take us. That's why we read charts. That's why we do technical analysis. I've been getting a lot of random comments from a lot of random people, most of them good, but every once in a while there's that one person that just, watches these videos for some reason and doesn't believe technical analysis even works in the first place, which blows my mind as to why they're even watching these videos and why I'm even talking about it. But that's besides the point. In order to be a good trader, you need to map out these type of levels and you have to manage your risk. So you want to put the odds in your favor, and to put the odds in your favor, you can't just be bearish and you can't just be bullish. You need to be a wolf. You need to look for these levels and then plan trades around them. So for example, I do see some decent setups now coming into play. First off, this 3303 level will act as an area of resistance. If the price blows right through that, I'd be pretty shocked. Now, in today's world, maybe I wouldn't be, because we might, for all I know, we might get a gap above this and run to the all-time market high and just continue pushing on. However, in the world of technical analysis, it wouldn't surprise me much to see it get rejected from this point of 33.30. So if the price moves up here, I wouldn't be surprised to capture some profits a little bit on the way down. And then even if it comes down to another level of support, wherever that might be during the day, because we might get a gap up right to here, and this might be a new level of support, I would be able to enter in long right here and have a tight stop loss for a bounce and maybe potentially a break from that point. I feel most comfortable going long right now, but that doesn't take away from the fact that if it's coming into major areas of resistance, that doesn't mean necessarily I would pass on the opportunity to short it if price action was heading lower. But I definitely would mitigate the position when it runs into strong areas of support, being this 3302, 3300, and then also this 3284. All right, guys, that is all I have for you on today's S&P 500 technical analysis video. See you later. Hey, what's up? This is Michael. I left this to the very end for my loyal people that stick around because, I know you appreciate good technical analysis. And really right now that I needed to go over was this pattern. And obviously you saw the thumbnail. It's called the caterpillar pattern. But more importantly of what it looks like is what it means in the stock market. Now this is on the 30-minute time frame. If you get these caterpillar patterns on dailies and weeklies, oh, it's even more treacherous. It's even crazier than you could possibly imagine. But really what it entails is you have a couple legs, right? You have these little leggy points right here, little tiny leggies from the caterpillar. Then you have this little head right here like that. And then you have a squiggly little wormy tiny body kind of just going like that, all nasty, like gross little caterpillar hanging out like that. Little smiley face. This little eyeball. There you go. You have a caterpillar pattern. That right there is a caterpillar pattern. Now, what does this mean? Okay, what does it mean to have a caterpillar pattern? And what's more importantly is look where it's located. It's floating in the air right over here, okay? Nothing next to it, okay? It's on its ground, its own little level of support. Well, it got me thinking when I saw this, I was like, wait a second. The caterpillar pattern, this is so rare. This is more rare than a unicorn. Because what do caterpillars turn into? The caterpillar, or what is more scientifically termed a larva, right? Larva stuffs itself with leaves, growing plumper and longer through a series of molts in which it sheds its skin. Growing plumper and plumper, eating leaves. Well, what do you think the stock market has been doing since March? Since 2009. Since quantitative easing started with the Federal Reserve, the stock market has been growing plumper and plumper, eating the leaves from the money tree the Federal Reserve has been growing. Crazy? Or absolutely brilliant? I'll let you be the judge of it. But then it got me to think, wait a second, caterpillar, cat, stock, caterpillar stock? Is something going on in the markets to let me know that the caterpillar stock might be doing something? So then I went over to that weekly chart. And then I was like, hey, here's the caterpillar stock. You see this blue line right here? That is the 10-period moving average. And look at this little tiny hammer candle right here. When it broke above the 10-period moving average, it started moving higher. It tested back on it once, and now it's testing back on it again. the second time. Typically what happens when you have the 10-period moving average after a breakout take place, you can buy back into it when it tests back for another time. And if you look at this current chart, look at what happens when it crosses the 10-period weekly moving average. When it crossed it and made a nice run up, but when it crossed down, the trend changed and it moved significantly down. Now we cross above it, we're making a nice run up from about 110 to 131. Are we going to get a bounce from this point? Is that what we're being told? Or is it overextended and going to collapse from 140 to about 145? If it breaks above that, oh man, this thing is going higher. Is that what the stock market's trying to tell us? To buy Caterpillar? Or is it trying to tell us that we're about to turn into a butterfly and fly away to the moon?